You may know about the vowels and vowel-like articulatory gestures. We have been discussing that in this course. The concept of cardinal vowel was also introduced somewhere in the beginning of the course, right? So cardinal vowel is basically a system, a mechanism which has been used for the description of vowel sounds in English, right? The idea was generated in the beginning of the previous century, in 1918, when the British phonetician Daniel Johns, when he gave the idea of primary cardinal vowel system, and then he also talked about the secondary cardinal vowel system, right? And that cardinal vowels were decided on the basis of the auditory abilities of the vocalic sounds, right? And the point was that the cardinal vowel diagram was shaped in such a way that 8 corners were given, right? Started from the high front position, then the mid-high, the mid-low, coming down to the low position, and then at the back, the back low position, and then the back mid-low position, and then the back mid-high position, and then the back high position, right? So these 8 corners of the tongue, basically, of the imaginary shape of the tongue, were used for the description of the vocalic sounds. And that was an important discussion, and it's been extensively used since then. The phoneticians, they were using those certain fixed points for a description of the vowel sounds in a particular variety, and then also using those fixed, very certain positions for the plotting of the vowel sounds, and then also plotting them in chart and using them, interpreting them in terms of those 8 corners, right? 8 cardinal vowels. So that's the idea, and the point is that when there are 2 phoneticians, when they are describing, right? So the person who is describing and the person who is listening, they must know something which is common to both of them. Because without discussing in terms of the known features, that won't be possible to describe vowel sounds, particularly when you are discussing the vowel sounds of unfamiliar languages, right? So that's the point, that the cardinal vowels, that's the the reference point which is used by phoneticians, and they have been using it in several ways, right? Because it's not only for a comparison of the varieties within a language, but languages can also be described across languages, across linguistically, and that cross-linguistic analysis is also possible in terms of the typological features when vowels of different language families are discussed in terms of the cardinal vowel system. So that was an important idea given by the British phonetician Daniel Johns, and the 8 cardinal vowels which he gave are still very extensively used. Let me show you to that cardinal vowel system. It's here, and it's given in your book in chapter 9, right? And you see that this is the E, right? So the most front and high position, okay? That's the high position. And then mid-high, the second corner, then, mid-low, and then the low position. So you just see that these are the 4 corners at the front part of the tongue possible, and then 4 corners at the back part of the tongue. That's also very much possible in this cardinal vowel system. And if the parts of the tongue are taken into account, then the front part, the center part, and the back part, right? So this is basically a system through which you can describe the vowels, right? So remember a few things about it, that the center is like here, somewhere like that, and it's the position of the tongue which is given. I'm just drawing it here. If you can just see that how is the tongue drawn here, you can think about, right, the position of your tongue, right? Lower lip, lower teeth, and then the position of tongue, right? In quite a normal position. If you just compare now this position, this cardinal vowel, and you take this here to the position of the tongue, then it is basically the imaginary lines of the tongue. When the tongue is divided into 8 corners. And then those vowels are put here at the 8 corners for the sake of description. And it's been a very popular, very important feature for the description of the vocalic sounds. And therefore, it's been very extensively used by the phoneticians, by the phonologists of different languages. And they've been taking advantage of this idea given by Daniel Johns. And we'll continue with this discussion in the coming sessions.